Thank you. Good afternoon and welcome to the June 18, 2026 regular meeting of the Finance and Risk Management Committee, FRMC. I am Litas Yamani, Chair of the FRMC, representing the City of National City. We welcome members of the public, community power staff, and committee members joining us in person at the City of Chula Vista Council Chambers. I now call the meeting to order. Ms. Mary, please call the roll.
Director Insunza,
I'm here.
Usher Suzuki,
Here.
Chair Yamani.
Here.
I'm a quorum, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Let's all please stand, and Vice Chair Suzuki, would you please lead us to the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Vice. Next, we acknowledge that this meeting is taking place on the land of the original inhabitants of the Greater San Diego region. A land acknowledgement is a critical step toward working with Native communities to create meaningful partnerships and inclusion in the stewardship and protection of their cultural resources and homelands. Let's take a moment to honor these ancestral grounds that were the traditional lands of the Kumeyaay. Thank you. Board Clerk, are there any items to be added, withdrawn, or reordered on the agenda?
There are none, Madam Chair.
Okay, we move on to our non-agenda public comment. We will now take up non-agenda public comments. Any written public comments submitted before the FRMC meeting were emailed to the committee members prior to the meeting and will be posted on the website. Mari, do we have any non-agenda public comment?
There are none, Madam Chair.
Thank you. We will now move to consent calendar items. We have item 1, approve May 21, 2026 meeting minutes. Do any committee members wish to pull the consent item?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Do we have any public comment on the consent calendar, Mari?
None, Madam Chair.
Thank you. I have a motion and a second. If there are no other comments, let's please call the roll.
Director Insunza,
Yes.
Usher Suzuki.
Yes.
Chair Yamani.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Moving on to item 2. This is one of the regular agenda items. Item 2, Treasurer's Report for 9-month period ending March 31st, 2026. Our CFO Treasurer Janice Burlingame and Dan Delaney from Chandler Asset Management will present this item. Janice?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm going to start with our budget net position to operating income. Next slide. Actually, is that the right one? It's page 14. It has like a bar chart with lines. Yes, that's it. Good job. Okay, so we have a conservative budget and we're tracking very well to the budget. As you can see, we normalized from peak favorable in October to just about break even in March 26, reflecting a conservative energy cost budget. Next is reserves.
Sorry about that. Go ahead, ma'am, please.
Next slide. Okay, perfect. The liquidity position remains strong with days cash in hand steadily improving, and we are comfortably within our 180 to 270-day policy range. Next, as of March 31st, 26, we have 664 million in total cash investments, and our reserve are composed of 70% unrestricted cash, 17% current, and 13% non-current investment. And that shows a very well-defined liquidity position. Next slide. Our year-to-date investment income, which we'll go into a little bit later, our portfolio generated 13.25 million in accumulated investment income year-to-date through March 26. This reflects a very strong portfolio performance and its benefit of our current interest rate environment. Next. This quarterly fluctuation reflects timing of bond settlements, and I'm proud to say that our Q2 25 has the highest savings of 1.23 million because of multiple series were both active. This is savings derived from our prepaid bond program. And the first three transactions that we've sold will continue over time. We've scheduled to save an estimated 8.7 million in calendar year 26. And the annual savings is projected to grow to approximately 20 million by 2030. So these are all rates that will help us to be able to benefit the community ultimately. Next. We have strong overall participation rate across 969,000 participants in enrolled accounts. And this reflects our broad community adoption across the 7 jurisdictions. Next, contracts. We have 3 executed contracts total between $50,000 and $150,000, and the details are in your packets. So these are listed here. Lastly, we are actively advancing our community banking solicitation. This process will conclude on Friday, and we'll report the results by the next meeting. And next, I'm going to turn it to Mr. Dan Chandler of Delaney Investments.
Thank you very much. Madam Chair, Madam Vice Chair, members of the committee, very, very nice to be back here. So as always, we start with a brief economic overview. There's lots going on. I'll try and shrink it into something digestible. There's lots of slides here. I don't plan to go through all of them, but of course, I'm very happy to take any questions as I do. Of course, I'll relate what's going on in the economy to the portfolio. So resilience is a word that's been used a lot about the US economy. We've had an oil shock in the last few months, yet the economic data actually continues to improve this year. We've seen more jobs created. We've seen manufacturing sectors actually move into expansion territory. We've seen retail sales like this week come in much better than expected. So why is all of this happening? Well, a few things we think. One, we're in the midst of a CapEx super cycle. Part of it is because of AI and all of the infrastructure build out that is causing. But you think about other sectors like energy security, which is now more of a concern. You think about infrastructure. All of this is contributing to this big CapEx super cycle, which is of course dominated by AI. We've also had some relief on the tariff front. The tariffs have been repealed. Now businesses feel a bit more confident about expanding and hiring. And don't forget the World Cup effect. And we've seen definitely a big rebound in leisure and hospitality related to that as well. So this data only runs through March, but if you were to bring it all the way through to last month, we've been creating around 200,000 jobs on average per month, which has kept the unemployment rate very low in the US at 4.3%. So we've seen an uptick from the slowdown last year, which I think a lot of that was to do with the government layoffs and the tariff overhang. So good news for this economy is we're a consumer economy, and consumption really relies on job security and wage growth. So that is all trending the right direction. What's not trending in the right direction is the inflation backdrop. Of course, part of that more recently is to do with the oil price shock and gas prices being elevated. Perhaps the pathway more recently for those two to come down. We did get a CPI number last week, which was very high, so 4% year on year. We haven't seen a number like that since 2023. We do think that will eventually come down. What the Fed cares more about, what market participants care more about, is the core numbers, the underlying inflation in the economy, which is less than 4%. It's around 3%. It's still not at the Fed's 2% target. You see that orange line, that's where the Fed is determined to get inflation down to 2%, and it has failed to do that for the last 5 years. Because in part, the growth backdrop has remained resilient. So we have a new Fed governor. You may have seen yesterday. Yesterday was a very important day for us market watchers and bond geeks. So Kevin Warsh is going to be the new Fed governor. And of course, you know, the Fed is an incredibly powerful institution, not just on the US stage, but on the global stage. It controls the price of money in the world, which is basically the value of the dollar. So what Kevin Warsh said yesterday was incredibly important about the framework that he would like to now institute for the Fed. So he gave us a few clues. To start with, the overall tone of the conference was quite hawkish, which is to say that they are very concerned about the level of inflation. And there is a determination to get that back down to 2%. So you did see a jump in bond yields, and you saw more of a shift towards pricing in rate hikes. I think at the start of the year, everyone was expecting rate cuts. But because of the underlying strength in the economy, because of the oil shock, that has shifted now to the market pricing in some interest rate increases. We do think that's a pretty high bar, and our view is that there won't be any, but the market is right to price in some of that. The more interesting point, we think, is that he wants to overhaul this whole framework for Fed policy and communication. And he set up 5 different task forces to do that, to examine the way that they look at job growth and productivity in this new era of AI, to think about communication, and should they do press conferences after the meetings? Should they come up with a dot plot, which he actually declined to do yesterday. He did not provide his dot, which is some sort of guide for the market in terms of where interest rates may evolve. So not something that is going to be revolutionary. We think it's going to take some time, but we do think that there is going to be this big regime shift at the Fed, which does have implications for market participants and could in the interim cause some more volatility in the bond market. So stay tuned. The last slide here, the market levels, bond yields in the wake of the conflict in the Middle East went up, unsurprisingly, because everyone was worried about inflation. So we did see a big move in treasury yields. The 2-year was trading below 3.5%. It shot up to over 4%. The 10-year was trading below 4%. It shot up to around 4.5%, which is where it is today. Zooming out and thinking about the long term, because this is what we're trying to do with Community Power's investment program, we think that this is a generational opportunity in the bond market. We haven't seen yields like this for 20 years. And we've been in a very low inflation, low interest rate environment. You have to go back to 2006 to see where the 10-year US Treasury is trading, where it is today. We do think that inflation will remain elevated in the near term, but eventually it will come down. And so if there is the capacity to lock in these higher rates, which is exactly what we're trying to do with a part of this program, this is a really good opportunity to take those funds that are not needed for liquidity purposes and put them into longer term bonds. Yes, there may be some more volatility in the near term, in part because we have this new regime with the Fed. But over the longer term, we think that it will benefit all of our investors, including Community Power. So any questions on the markets or the economy before we go into the portfolio?
Directors, do you have any questions? I have, what's the inflation rate for County of San Diego right now? I checked 2 weeks ago, it's 3.2. Do you have an idea?
For the County of San Diego? I don't know the exact number, I'm afraid, but I believe that when I last checked, which was a few months ago, it was trending higher than the national average, as was the unemployment rate as well. But I believe you get...
I would be more interested relative to what's happening in San Diego County. Of course, I know that it's impacted by what's happening international, national, but I think focus on the region that we serve.
Yeah.
is something that I would be more interested. And then another question that I have, Dan, is the if you can explain to me the reduction, there's a graph that you had shown, but I'm looking at my page, I think that's 44 of the presentation of the packet. The reduction of the market value, what caused that dip or that drop?
Page 44, should I scroll forward on this?
You showed a graph earlier, but this is just the numbers that I'm looking at.
Is it prior to this part of the report?
Yes,
Yeah,
there.
this one. So, get my eyes, so the, this is the investment income and the bars, and, sorry, it's a smaller line because I don't have the packet with me.
I think, Janice, that was your report, so would you expound a little bit on why was the drop at that time? And I'm looking at this report also on the Chandler pages, page 44, and the yield for the value for fiscal year 25 is 676, and the value that is here now is for
Yes.
2026 is 662. I just wanted to understand why the drop when the yield that is showing 25 versus 26 is higher.
So, yields rose during the last 3 months from December to March. And typically when yields rise, the market values fall. Actually, for the Chandler managed portfolio, the values stayed around the same. But for the total portfolio, for Community Power, the value fell. And I believe that was because there was a withdrawal from the liquidity portion of it, which is not something that we manage, but it is held with different institutions, including River City Bank. So that could be potentially it.
Can we get an explanation of that, Mr. Jack, later on, maybe? Not now.
Absolutely.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Dan. Also, you mentioned about, yes, we understand we are in the AI world, but my city, National City, is one of historically disadvantaged community, and they're really very slow on the fast understanding of AI. So I still believe that, we have to be a little bit conservative on that part based on how I know my community and the other members of the agency that these are disadvantaged community, and sometimes they care about the person that's before them, explaining to them, how are we faring in the market and how we can explain to them what we're doing, because they won't talk to AI. Sorry. Thank you.
And
Sorry. I know you're AI dude, but I'm just saying.
I do have a couple. of
Yes,
questions,
thank you,
actually.
ma'am.
No, I have a couple of questions. So, thank you for your report. I don't know if you're done yet. I don't wanna, are you?
No, he's asking questions. We're
Okay,
asking questions.
Okay, good, we're asking. So the first question I have is, so going back to the AI thing, when you say that AI has helped it, the outlook, and it looks good right now, how has AI done that? I guess I'm a little confused.
So there's a huge build out of infrastructure. Certainly data centers would be a major component of that. So all of the ancillary industries that are attached to that, such as construction and ventilation and building out the grid. So that's definitely boosting jobs in that. But I do want to also address Madam Chair's question as well, that we are in this bifurcated economy where there's a lot of households, a lot of consumers that are suffering from higher interest rates on affecting their debt, that don't have the assets and not benefiting from all this wealth creation in the stock market. So that it is an economy which is really a two-speed economy. The numbers that we put up mask what's going on underneath, and just look at the aggregate. And yes, while that's doing well, there is a lot of pain underneath.
So this AI, the the way AI is right now, it's just because of the buildup and everything, but this isn't really taking into account the worry that is rising among people that AI is actually going to be getting rid of jobs.
Well, you do see that in the numbers. Again, the aggregates mask what's going on underneath. So what we have seen is a huge reduction in white collar financial services jobs, and mostly in the professional services sector, as you would imagine, but also in the technology sector. The actual industry that's leading this, they've actually been shedding the most jobs. So again, it's a really bifurcated job market, and how that ultimately plays out is a big question mark. Will this actually be good for the economy? Because while it's creating productivity, if you do create this loss of jobs, you're going to weaken the economy. So the question is, do these job losses ultimately move to other industries? And that's the big unknown.
Okay, and then my other question is, you were saying that it's actually kind of exciting because if we could take advantage of this right now and I guess invest and I guess purchase those bonds, then we can hang on to them, and even though it may be a little more volatile, it's if we could just hang on and through it, it'll help yield good results, correct?
So we invest all of our clients' money in very high quality bonds. So they're short duration, typically up to 5 years of maturity, so they don't have a lot of interest rate risk, and they are by California code of superior credit quality. So mostly government issuers or very high quality corporate credit issuers. So we're in an environment where you're getting paid quite handsomely for yield, and yet you don't have to take much in the way of duration risk or interest rate risk, or you don't have to go down the credit quality spectrum and reach for yield by lending to weak companies.
Okay.
So it's a sweet spot in that sense, that you're getting paid 4 to 5%. These are the bonds that we're buying for our clients, including Community Power, which is, we think, an attractive level above the level of inflation, which if it settles down to 2 to 3%, you're getting paid way above that. And that typically doesn't last for long. Interest rates will come down at some point and you won't be able to reinvest at those levels. So that's why we think it's a good opportunity if clients have the funds to lock up for 5 years.
Okay, thank you.
Looking at the acquisition and disposition as well, Dan, there's a bit of a downturn there as well. I would like Jack to please pick up on that, and I would need a thorough who acquires and who disposes. Who is that among SDCP? Who's got that authority to acquire and dispose? I would like to know that. Not today, but later in one of the briefings.
We can develop that before.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. So thank you, Dan. Thank you for educating us more and understanding how we are as you know, the three of us here will recommend this to the board, and we're a recommending committee, and understanding it better would help us make good recommendations to the board. Thank you so much, Dan.
I have some more slides on the portfolio. Should I go through those?
Oh, you have more? I thought you were saying, sorry. Yes, please. Thank you.
Two parts. So this was just the economic overview, but I promise you I'll be speedy with this next part. So these are the objectives for the portfolio. So safety, liquidity, and always lastly return. We have a benchmark which we look to outperform over a cycle, and the way that we do that, our strategy is really to diversify across all of these investments that are permitted by California code, that are allowed by our policy, and over time that diversification yields better results than our benchmark. So this is the snapshot of the portfolio as of March 31. We went through these numbers, a very large portfolio, and the decline in the portfolio was due to withdrawals during that time frame, not related to market movements.
Mhm.
These are the most important pages in the whole booklet, your compliance statement. So you are compliant across the whole of your investment program with your investment policy and with California government code. And we revisit this every year to make sure it's aligned with industry best practices. I just point to the last slide. Again, my eyes are testing me, but there is a parameter there, just given Community Power's business to not invest in any fossil fuel companies. So we, of course, adhered. And this is a snapshot of the portfolio that Chandler manages as of the end of March versus the end of December. You can see the market value is up by 20 million, and that's due to contributions. The underlying performance was essentially the same. Interest rates went up, but because yields are so much higher now, the interest income on the portfolio is guarding against any volatility due to interest rate moves. You can see that it's very high quality, and I would just point you to the purchase yield, which is a very, very important number, probably the most important number there. The purchase yield, which is over 4%, is a very, very good guide as to what the portfolio will return over time. So we would expect over the next few years around 4% return. It's very diversified across all these high quality sectors, mostly US treasuries, which are the safest and most liquid. And you can see this by rating across 3 different agencies. Of course, no AAA for the US government anymore. It's very well spread out by maturity. Again, up to 5 years, that's the maximum permitted. And these are the returns. So in the last 3 months, pretty meager because we saw that interest rate rise in March because of the conflict in the Middle East. But you can see since the start of our engagement with Community Power, the returns have been quite good relative to the benchmark in absolute. And I would say that the timing of this program when it was started was very good. Community Power avoided all of the nasty performance during 2022, 2023 when interest rates went from 0 to 5. So well done, Community's part. And we just show a snapshot here of the reporting portfolio. So this is all of the liquid investments that Community Power has, River City Bank, and now starting to diversify into local government pools and LAIF, the state-run investment pool. You can see it here. And I'll just end the final thing is really to commend staff on optimizing this portfolio. It's a large portfolio, and what staff has done is gradually term out these investments, take a portion of the money, invest it longer term, take advantage of those higher interest rates. And secondly, diversify the liquid investments. So start engaging with LAIF, the state pool, and other local government investment pools, CalFIT and CAP. And again, we would just encourage both of those 2 things to the extent that there is excess liquidity, look to invest longer term, and continue to diversify away your liquid investments among all those different institutions as well.
Thanks, Dan. Thank you. Great advice. Thank you for the presentation, sir. Thank you. Thank you to the finance team for this report. Thank you so much. Board Clerk, there is a
Robert Johnson
comment?
is online, Madam Chair.
Okay,
Bring them in.
yes, please. Thank you.
Robert, if you can hear us, please address the board. You have 3 minutes to provide your comments.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we
Yes.
can. Go ahead, please.
All right, I'd just like to first put a point of order that I had my hand raised at public comment and consent calendar and wasn't called upon. And so with that said, I'm going to address the board in the idea that we need to be cautious for people attending virtually. If we're skipping people, it's not right. It's suppressing the people's voice. And just like the last 2 meetings, which were canceled, one of them was canceled because the locations didn't have access. And then the second one was canceled because no notification was put on location even 2 days before. I did a check 2 days before and then day of the meeting. Just like I'm doing a check right now up north here, but I don't appreciate being skipped over on my public comment. And I would advise that this board take that very seriously And so as to the item, the financial record of these investments prioritize the billionaire companies when they don't help any of the locals. So when you guys are investing all this money to make your money, you're leaving out the people who you serve. And so this is a self-serving board that is only worried about financially gaining their employees' paycheck and then saying that they're financially stable or sustainable. And I would advise everybody to take a hard look at yourself and realize that you represent the billionaires. You don't represent the people. Thank you.
Thank you. This is a receive and file for item number 2, Treasurer's Report for 9-month period ending March 31st, 2026. So moving on to item number 3, public hearing on AB 2561, McKinnon, status of vacancies, recruitment and retention. Mr. Tim Maglimot, Senior Director of Finance and Risk, will present this item. Mr. Tim, please.
Thanks, Chair Money. Good afternoon, Chair Money, Vice Chair Suzuki, and Director Nzunza. For the record, my name is Timothy Maglimot, Senior Director of Finance at Senate Community Power. I'm presenting item number 3, which is an action item to recommend advancing to the board a public hearing for AB 2561. Next slide. So just by way of quick background, AB 2561 was effective on January 1st, 2025. This is our second time presenting to the board on this. Chandra Pugh, our Senior Director of HR, did a presentation last year and should be presenting next week at the full board. And just by way of additional background, AB 2561 and the hearing that's required with AB 2561 is required anytime a local agency moves forward with an adoption of a budget. And so as we're bringing forth the budget this month, we're also bringing forth the public hearing to the board for AB 2561. Next slide. Just by way of additional background, there are some requirements for AB 2561. A couple of the requirements include, as part of this update, providing to the board a status of community power's vacancies, our retention, and our recruitment efforts. So you'll see a really long summary kind of in your package talking through kind of the 3 key areas of vacancy, recruitment, and retention. Another requirement of AB 2561 is that if necessary, we would bring forth any type of policy or procedural changes, of which we're recommending none, just because we've had a pretty good year in terms of all 3 requirements of AB 2561. Next slide. So of the 28 positions that Community Power recruited for or had open positions for in fiscal year 2025-2026, there are currently 3 positions that are in active recruitment right now. You see the 3 positions in front of you, and there's still 4 positions that have not yet been posted, just mostly because our human resources department does try to stage recruitments and just try to make sure that recruitments occur as there's need within the agency. Next slide. In terms of kind of some deeper findings for recruitment and retention for the agency, Community Power has what I would consider a really low attrition rate and a really high retention rate. And that's improved over time. So our attrition rate for this year has been closer to 3% and has improved since fiscal year 2024, where it was at 9%. And also happy to report that 3% is due mostly to natural attrition. So, folks moving away for personal reasons or whatnot. So Community Power does have a really good retention rate. It's something that we're proud of. And as it relates to the budget, we also budget for a really low, actually, we won't even exclude retention because it's such a high retention rate for the agency. Next slide. So we do also want to make sure we're as transparent to the board and to the public as possible. So these are the 28 positions that I kind of mentioned in fiscal years 2025, 2026 that the agency was recruiting for. You'll see the 3 that I mentioned that are in active recruitment, and then the 4 that we still haven't posted for yet. Next slide. So just kind of summarize here, Community Power does provide a pretty competitive total compensation package. And when you just combine that with just trying to recruit for just mission-aligned staff, it's led to just really strong retention for the agency. And ultimately, it's something that we hope that can help bring better value to the ratepayers. We have staff who continue to be here and stick around kind of for the longer term. And with that said, that concludes the presentation for item number 3. Again, this is an action item to propose advancing the public hearing to the board. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you, Director. Madam Board, do we have any public comments?
You do not, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Board, do you have any comments on this item? This is a recommendation to the board, hold a public hearing, receive comments and accept a report on the status of community power, employee vacancy rates, and recruitment and retention efforts. This is an action item. If there's no comment, I will entertain a motion, please.
I'll make a motion to recommend to adopt the public hearing.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. I have a motion and a second. No other comments from my board. Mari, please call the roll.
Director Insulza,
Yes.
Commissioner Suzuki,
Yes.
Chair Yamani.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Thank you. We're moving on to item 4, recommend board approval of resolution adopting FY 2026-2027 operating budget, FY 2026-2027 capital budget, and FY 2027 and 2031 capital investment plan. Director Tim, your turn again, please.
Thanks, Chair Yamani, and hi again, Chair Yamani, Vice Chair Suzuki, Director Insulza. Again, for the record, Timothy Manglamott, Senior Director of Finance. I have the pleasure of presenting again the action item to recommend board approval for the operating budget, capital budget, and CIP. As I get into the presentation, I do want to take a quick moment just to thank staff because every time we do these budgets, it really is a humongous effort for the agency. So folks like Crystal Wiseman, Kevin Bateman, Julissa, and Mark online. There's been a lot of work that was put into these, so just a quick thank you there. Next slide. So the board did adopt a budget policy that's posted onto our website. And it's consistent with the board adopted budget policy. There is a stated timeline for kind of a few presentations to the board as we advance the budget to potential adoption in June. So in alignment with the policy, we're bringing back the budget to the FRMC in June, and then we'd hope to advance the budget to adoption so that we can start the fiscal year and adopt the budget. Next slide. So just consistent with prior years, you'll notice in your packets this time around that we are also, again, consistent with the last few years, including our full operating budget book. Again, quick thank you to mostly the public affairs staff, so Jen and Jill, who spent a lot of time putting together the book, which, a few years ago, Chair Yamani really encouraged the agency to be more proactive and put a lot more transparency and just more storytelling and strategic efforts behind the numbers. So again, this is the 3rd year producing the book. It's a Government Finance Officer Association award-winning book that we hope to get again this year. It's our way for the agency to try to be as transparent and accountable to the public so that we're not just providing numbers, but we're telling a story with what the numbers are providing to the public. So there's hundreds of pages for the public and for the board to read. And I'm going to kind of go through some of the high-level stuff here today. Next slide. So between May and June, the budget hasn't changed too much, but kind of under the direction of executive leadership. And, with just feedback from the board, we did find ways to try to further reduce our budget from what the board saw in May. And really these reductions have everything to do with, the costs that are under our control, trying to promote as much affordability and savings as possible so that we could try to give competitive rates to our ratepayers and maintain affordability. So the non-energy budget, I mentioned it last month, is the one portion of the budget that's directly under our control. And so we did take, again, a really close look and are proposing to reduce that non-energy portion of the budget by $820,000. The bulk of the $820,000 was a result of kind of combing through the positions at the recommendation of the board to see what we could reduce. And so there are a couple positions that we're proposing to reduce that lead to the bulk of that savings, and alongside those positions being reduced It also leads to some just minor reductions as we don't need as many computers and whatnot for those staff. So all in all, between last month and this month, we're proposing to keep revenue the same, cost of energy the same, and then we took a look internally to keep trying to cut costs as much as possible. So that's an $820,000 reduction. Next slide. So all in all, what does that mean for the agency and for the ratepayers? We still do anticipate significant rate relief for our customers come January 2027. The budget still anticipates a double-digit reduction to the ratepayers and to the rates in January of 2027. Again, I kind of mentioned it last month. It's still probably way too early to predict with certainty that it's going to be a double-digit drop, but the budget still assumes that as our best projection. All in all, after that $820,000 non-energy cost reduction, we still have a small, modest resulting net position of $3.9 million. So we still preserve kind of the agency's policy and the budget policy of having a balanced budget, but it's still a really thin budget this fiscal year, mostly due to that PCI snapback that we discussed last month, that I promise I won't get into during this presentation. Next slide. So in terms of what we think we're going to grow the budget to and our reserves to as part of this budget, again, because we're reducing the non-energy cost by $820,000, we do anticipate growing the reserves for community power closer to 280 days cash on hand by the end of the fiscal year. Again, it's way too early to tell what really might occur. But we do anticipate in October of this year, coming back to the board with a recommendation to defer a portion of that 280 days cash on hand to our rate stabilization reserve. And that rate stabilization reserve really is meant for the customer. It's meant for the ratepayer and rate relief and potential programs if the board chooses to use any of that funding for it. And so what we anticipate then is come October, as we do the annual financial audit, to come back to the board with a recommendation to move a portion of our reserves. We should have a lot more clarity on what happens with energy costs during the summer. That should much better inform what we end up doing as we head into the next rate setting cycle. And then ultimately, we look forward again to returning in January so that we can put those rate stabilization dollars to work for our customers. Next slide. So on the capital investment plan slide, kind of what Will mentioned last month, we don't anticipate and we're not recommending any changes to what we presented last month. Kind of in terms of the flagship efforts that we're proposing in this year's CIP, the San Diego Regional Energy Network is going to be a huge effort, especially this upcoming fiscal year. That's included in our CIP. And then we are still proposing to continue investments, albeit at a large scale, for the solar battery savings program. All in all, though, the CIP, we're not proposing any changes. And again, you'll notice in your packets, continuing with including the CIP book, which has a lot more context on what we're proposing to deliver in the CIP, mostly in the way of programs for our customers. Next slide. Again, this is the same exact slide from last month because we're not proposing any changes to the CIP. But kind of the three important things to note here. The first year of the CIP represents a proposed capital budget appropriation. So that's going to be an actual appropriation action as part of the potential recommendation to the board. The 5-year CIP, that $310 million represents our 5-year plan. So the ultimate 5 years isn't an appropriation. It's more of a planning document and effort for what we think we want to invest over the next 5 years. And then the last thing I'll mention is there's also a carry forward amount, which is a snapshot of previously appropriated dollars in the capital budget that we haven't yet used that we're proposing to continue using in the upcoming fiscal year. Next slide. So with that said, Chair, kind of the actions that we're proposing to move forward to the board are kind of three things. First is the operating budget action that results in a net position of $3.9 million. Number two is that capital budget appropriation of $71 million. That's, again, the first year of the CIP. And then the third thing that we're proposing is approving the capital investment plan, which is our 5-year capital investment plan totaling $310 million over the next 5 years. And with that said, Chair, that concludes my remarks. I'll turn it back over to you. Thanks.
Thank you, Director. Mari, do we have any public comment, ma'am?
Yes, Madam Chair, we have Robert again. I'll bring him in.
Thank you.
I think I'm already here. Can you hear me?
Robert, you have 3 minutes to address the FRC.
Thank you. With the finances and the reports and everything that's coming, I'd also like to bring up the fact that some of this financial reporting is not going to be including some of like the data center contracts that you guys have going on. So with the requirement for always on power and for them to always have power compared to like the contract you have with the people is that you don't have a contract with us to have always on power. So when we're paying and the finances that we're putting into it, we're not getting the same level of service because you guys are prioritizing billionaires with data centers and building special contracts so they can have always on power, where the rest of the residents and ratepayers are being sacrificed for the greater good, the data center, which surveils all of us, which uses Flock system, which, I mean, I could just go off on how much everybody sitting on that dais knows what a data center does. And then when you look at these financial reports, they're saying that they're going to save money per, I take it was canceling some employee positions, but they also said that they're not going to reduce how much money you make because you guys have to stockpile the money to reinvest it, right? So like you're taking our money and then you're reinvesting it so you can make money off of it. And so I think personally, you guys are outside your scope of the finances because this should only be related to the job like of power, which you guys don't generate any. You guys don't even like when I try to come and talk to you guys, I have to go to a PO box and I stick my head in this little box and I have to address, I don't know, no one because there's no place to physically go to talk to someone. And so when we're experiencing all these problems as ratepayers, the only resource we have is San Diego SDG&E because those are the actual people that do the providing of the energy and actually have all the wires and actually have finances invested in this. What are you invested in it? You just take our money and give it to billionaires. That's what you guys should be known as, the billionaire financial group who doesn't care about the people and just wants to get the rich people more rich, right? That's your guys' priority is not helping us and saving us money, right? It's to sign a contract with the data center to require always power on and extract all the money you can out of the people. Thank you.
Thank you. Directors, do you have any question on the presentation for item 4?
No, I just wanted to thank Tim and I wanted to thank Jen and also for our chair for the beautiful operating budget. It makes people like me who don't really understand numbers unless we're really delving into it. It's hard for us and it takes me twice as long as I'm sure Tim, or maybe 5 times as long, but I appreciate it. So thank you for making it more transparent because that's what we want. We want transparency for our people.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Director? If there are no comments, I'll entertain a motion. This is to recommend board approval of resolution adopting FY 2026-2027 operating budget, FY 2026-2027 capital budget, and FY 2027-2031 capital investment plan. May I get a motion, please? I'll move. I need a second.
Second.
Thank you. There's a motion to the recommendation. Madam Chair, please call the roll. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Thank you for promoting me. Director Insunza,
Yes.
Vice Chair Suzuki,
Yes.
Chair Yamani.
Yes,
Motion carries.
thank you. We now move on to committee announcements. Vice Chair?
Yeah, I just wanted to introduce one of my 2 interns for the summer. Her name is Macy Harrow, and she's a senior at Willamette. And she is sitting in on this meeting, and I'm excited for her to learn more about San Diego Community Power. So please, if she reaches out, don't ignore her. No, just kidding. Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome, Ms. Cindy.
Macy.
Macy. Macy. Director Nzunza? No comment? No comment here. Any comment? CFO, COO, Director? No? That brings us to the end of our agenda. I appreciate everyone, directors who are here today. The next regular FRMC meeting will be held on Thursday, August 20, 2026 at 4 p.m. Here at Chula Vista Council Chambers. We are adjourned.